my name's Alex, and this is my presentation for my final essay in English 102. I want to start off by making sure we're all on the same page with a few terms that are used frequently throughout this presentation. The first is vlogs. If you've ever been on YouTube, you probably are familiar with the video format called vlogging. The word is a mixture of the words video and weblog, or blog, and they're usually just someone talking into their camera about their opinions, ideas, or even just their daily lives. A lot of people discount user-created content such as blogs and its creators as pointless at best and narcissistic or harmful at worst. Second is Vlogbrothers. One of my favorite examples of why it's wrong to write off career YouTubers as pointless, narcissistic, or harmful is the Vlogbrothers, Hank and John Green, who have proven over the last 12 years that real-world value can be created in online spaces between strangers by average people. Like many other YouTubers, these two seem to be just two regular guys. John was a children's hospital chaplain turned young adult fiction writer, and Hank wrote editorials about advancements in biochemistry and environmental studies. Neither of them had any training or experience in the performing arts. And finally, Nerdfightheria. Nerdfightheria is the term that was coined by the community that formed around the Vlogbrothers videos to refer to themselves as a group. Individually, members of the group are called Nerdfighters. While Nerdfightheria is a nation without borders and spans the entire globe, it's also represented in real-life gatherings, both organized, like conventions, and organic, like high school book clubs. So, is YouTube just a platform for nonsense and narcissists? No way. The work done by the Vlogbrothers and their community proves that online celebrity is just as relevant and important to our culture as is traditional celebrity, and it may be even more valuable as a means of individuals connecting with one another and forming communities. The three biggest ways that this is shown among many YouTubers, but especially traceable in the Greens, are educational content, community building, and charity work. We're going to do a deep dive into how each of these are utilized by Nerdfightheria to decrease world suffering. So, one common argument against YouTubers is that user-created content is just a blind leading the blind situation, because you have a bunch of amateurs who aren't classically trained, and so their videos probably aren't useful. Some people might even say that user-created content is damaging to our culture and damaging our traditional forms of entertainment. The example in Nerdfightheria of how wrong this is would be the project by Complexly. Complexly is a production company started by John and Hank when YouTube.com piloted a sponsorship program to help creators who were on the verge of leveling up start their small businesses. The production company has a ton of different projects, but some of the most notable are SciShow, Crash Course, and The Art Assignment. These programs are known and widely used in traditional classrooms because they're founded on the principles of partnering with reliable sources like PBS, of making classroom-appropriate content, promoting fact-checking and internet literacy skills, and of hiring and commissioning teams of experts in history, literature, science, and art to write, edit, and consult on each episode. Okay. Another argument against YouTubers is that online communities aren't as real as physical communities. But as we've learned really quickly through all these lockdowns, connections can be made using technology that many of us take for granted. Nerdfighters prove the validity of online communities in a number of ways. Some examples of this are Nerdfightheria itself, NaNoWriMo, and Nerd and Big Pods. Nerdfightheria is constantly growing more diverse as well as more inclusive according to annual Nerdfightheria census. While this is a self-reporting project, hundreds of thousands of responses each year show a trend of members finding more and more meaning and value from their participation in the community. Nerdfighters have for years organized their own local chapters in reading and writing clubs, most notably with NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, a nonprofit that makes a cooperative game out of reading and writing. For several years, one or more of the rewards and pep talks have included content created by John as a main sponsor, and Nerdfighters participate so heavily in NaNoWriMo that most districts also have chapters specifically designated for Nerdfightheria. NerdCon and VidCon are yearly conventions for the Nerdfighter and YouTube communities, respectively. The first VidCon was organized by Hank and John, and has since grown so much that what used to be a gathering of a couple hundred fans now has turnout so large that they max out the largest venues in California, Australia, and London every year. NerdCon, which is relatively smaller, still sees turnouts in the thousands. The massive turnouts of these events goes to show just how real online communities are. What sets YouTubers like the Vlogbrothers apart from traditional media are relatable content, shared passion of learning, and diversity and inclusivity. By being just regular people, YouTubers can connect with their audience in a whole different way versus traditional media like TV and movies, which are usually just a one-sided conversation. As the CEO of YouTube said in an interview this week about the YouTube platform, one thing that keeps people coming back to YouTube specifically is their shared passion for lifelong learning. And the reason that this type of community is able to find international success is due to their commitment to including everyone in their conversation, regardless of nationality, race, religion, or gender. Basically, they created a world where everyone can have seats as long as they're respectful and open-minded, and it works. Nerdfightheria is an example of how an organic community, spearheaded by relatable folks, armed with a thirst for knowledge, can create opportunities for some pretty awesome coordinated efforts to make the world a better place IRL. Even though on just about every video you can find links to different projects and fundraisers, there are two that are actually directly associated with the Nerdfighter community: the Foundation to Decrease World Suck and the Project for Awesome. The Foundation to Decrease World Suck might sound like a made-up charity foundation in a kid's book, but it is a real-life charitable funding operation that is arguably one of the best out there. It works exactly how you may think all charities should operate. It's 100% volunteer-owned and operated. None of the money raised is cut out in salaries or overhead, and the foundation acts as a treasury for Nerdfightheria, funding millions of dollars of nonprofits every year. The Project for Awesome is something that you may have seen if you happen to visit YouTube's front page during one of their annual week-long events, where YouTubers and audience members take over YouTube by creating ad spots for their favorite charity and competing to raise the most for the charity of their choice, which has effectively gamified fundraising on the platform to the tune of over $1 million raised annually. The ability to make such huge efforts is unique to online communities because of three things. First, they have the ability to mobilize very large audiences who are already very engaged because of the way that YouTubers interact with their audiences. Second, the nature of the community is to find ways to gamify everything, which brings out competitiveness as well as higher levels of engagement in both education and charity. And finally, the unique ability of online creators to use storytelling to make huge issues feel more universal and relatable. So, are YouTubers really a legitimate addition to the entertainment industry? It definitely can be. As we've seen with the success of the Vlogbrothers in these efforts, user-created content can add value to culture and society through accessible education. They can build and maintain relationships with individuals that help to bring folks together for meaningful and satisfying friendships. And they can use those relationships with lifelong learners to create real-world change. The Vlogbrothers are just one example of how unironic enthusiasm and a passion for lifelong learning can do absolutely remarkable things. From week-long fundraisers to expert-led educational content that brings subjects to life for disengaged and underserved students, to online communities gathering, creating, encouraging, and comforting one another through the best and worst moments of the last decade, online communities are making the world a better place. And the creators who work to bring us together shouldn't be written off just because of the platform they use to share their passions. And that's all I've got. Thank you for listening, and as they say in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome.